summer in last facility. There are over 4,900 species of lizards. Pretty big group. Over 4,900 species. Lizards are paraphyletic. Paraphyletic when you don't include snakes and or amphibians. I'll show you what this looks like. This question?
Just a quick question. Is the squamata and the rhinophilia, are those classes within the Lepidus?
So the class is Reptilia, and Brachycephalia is an order, Squamata is an order, Lepidosauria is super order or subclass, depending who you talk to. Okay. But you don't need to know that it's an order or anything like that. You need to know the level of the class, and then you need to know Lepidosauria, Archosauria, and then the groups in each of those. But you don't need to know what it is. Just how it's nested, what's within it. So lizards are paraphyletic, and what that means, okay, is that if you go to the common ancestor of everything we consider a lizard, and you ask yourself, are we including all the lineages derived from that common ancestor? You're not, because snakes and amphibians came from that common ancestor. Okay, they're nested within the tree of lizards. Right? Snakes, the serpentes, nearly 3,000 species of snakes. People familiar with the Far Side cartoon? You ever seen one where God is making snakes? You know, it shows him he's got clay, he's making snakes. He said, wow, these are easy. No legs. Amphibians. Okay? The Amphibiania. These are often known as the worm lizards. And it's a relatively small group, about 160 species. Okay, so here we have a diagram, okay, showing how lizards are paraphyletic when you don't include snakes and or amphibians. Okay, so lizards traditionally defined. You know, okay, you got lizards, they got legs. You'll see a lot of lizards don't have legs. Okay. Lizards and snakes are two different piles. Yeah, that makes sense. But it turns out that here, these are all. Here's your Spinodonta. This is the tuatara over here. Okay, the outgroups, all the rest. Then you've got all these things that we call lizards. Okay. Squamates. This is covered up. It says squamata right there. It's all this stuff here. Okay. These are all your different lizards. You know, over here we got iguanas, and you know, over here we got alligator lizards and monitor lizards and stuff like that. And nested within here, we have serpentes, the snakes, and then here are the amphibians. So if you don't include either one of these, you're not including all the descendants of the common ancestor of everything we traditionally think of lizards as lizards, which is right here above the three. Making lizards paraphyletic. So snakes are lizards. They're just highly derived lizards with some specific characteristics. Okay? And you'll see later that birds are reptiles. Characteristics of the squamata. The integument is periodically shed. Okay? Meaning that the integument, okay, a component of it, of the skin and scales, okay, is shed off in either one big piece or some smaller pieces. But it's done, you know, an animal goes into shed. Now it's shedding, pieces come off. Then it doesn't for a while. Then it sheds and pieces come off. It's intermittent. Okay? You also shed your integument, but you're kind of just doing it all the time. Okay? Something like 2 to 5 pounds a year, depending how big you are. That's why you're supposed to wash your face. The dust mites love that stuff. It's like 2 to 4, 5 pounds a year. But you don't see it. You know, it's not like you go in a shed and you're just like, I'm not going out tonight, I'm shedding. You don't really have to worry about that. Most squamates have very kinetic skulls, meaning that different parts of the skull can move relative to each other, which is kind of weird. We don't have kinetic skulls at all, so it's kind of hard to imagine. But squamates, especially snakes, have very kinetic skulls. Different parts of the skull can move relative to each other. This has important implications for feeding, especially in snakes. And the kinetic comes from kinesiology, the study of movement. We're studying how athletics and the movements of athletes and performance. That's kinesiology. Okay? So kinetic skulls. Squamates have hemipenes. Here's another one for the Thanksgiving dinner table. Squamates have two penises. Snakes and lizards have two penises. But they don't really have two penises. They're not true. It's not a true penis. Okay? They're called hemipenes, but it is an intromittent organ. The animal would be attached right down here. Okay? They're kept inside of the body, and it's everted, okay, for internal fertilization. But they do have two. They use one at a time. Each one is connected by a separate vas deferens to one of the testes. Might be adaptive. This way a male can potentially inseminate more females because it can switch back and forth instead of just having one. That's a synapomorphy for the squamates. And tail autotomy. Tail autotomy, and these are kind of boring hemipenes right here. You get into some rattlesnakes. Each hemipene then has a double tip on it. They used to think they had four, but it turned out they're two branched hemipene. Lots of spines and stuff, that really bizarre stuff, good for identifying different kinds of animals. And then you've got tail autotomy. This is the ability to lose and regrow the tail. Okay? Lizards lose their tail, run away, get away from the cat. The tail wiggles around for a while. I actually know a guy who's studying that and looking at electrical activity of muscles and the way the tail wiggles around. Afterwards, he's gotten some big cash from the government because it might have implications for figuring out how to repair spinal cord injuries. Go figure. It's worth studying lizard tails. So tail autotomy, the ability to lose and regrow the tail. This has been lost in snakes and in some lizards. So some lizards have lost this ability, which would be a derived characteristic in its own right for those groups. Okay. So, lizards, some characteristics of lizards. Now again, lizards are paraphyletic groups. It's a paraphyletic group. But to give you some characteristics of what we think of as lizards, they can be anywhere from under 2 centimeters in length up to over 170, 200 pounds. And this is a Komodo dragon. That's the largest living lizard. Eat pigs and deer and stuff. And they're very endangered. Only live on a couple little islands down in Indonesia. This was the smallest lizard. This is a night lizard from the Caribbean, sitting on a dime. This was the smallest lizard until this year, when they discovered this new species of chameleon in Madagascar, sitting on someone's fingernail right there. Small lizard. Most lizards are insect eaters, insects and other arthropods. So most lizards are eating bugs, insects, spiders, stuff like that. But some large species of a certain group in particular are herbivorous. You'll see this is in contrast to snakes. No snake is herbivorous.